topic I gave Bill to talk to us about today was around using the story builder part of CODAP, and he's going to tell you lots about that. Because I think one of the things we get challenged with is how do we get kids to do data exploration and capture their thinking and it not get messy. All right, so that's the little bit of the brief I gave to Bill. I can tell you many stories about Bill, but the thing that I know about Bill is he cares passionately about making a difference for young people and their ability to access quality data analysis tools and other elements of data analysis, but tools, and for it to be free for us to use. So I'm going to hand over to Bill, and we are going to go on a wonderful journey today.
Kia ora. I'm so glad to be here with you. And the first thing I want to do is put a link in the chat, which if you will click, it will open a browser for you, and then you'll need to rearrange your screen a little bit. I'm going to put it in again because people are still arriving. You'll need to rearrange your screen so you can see the browser and see the screen sharing that I do. Of course, what I'm going to share is the same thing that I'm going to share the same document you're looking at. So in a way, you don't have to have them both open, but you will need to get to touch that document because it's got other links in it. So, as Pip said, I am a senior scientist by virtue of being very old. And I would say my passion really is for teachers and students to become excited about data analysis and to see it as a fun thing to do, because we need those kids to turn into the data scientists of tomorrow, because we have so many problems that can only be solved with the help of people who understand how to work with data. So what are we going to do today? We are going to do some exploratory data analysis using CODAP. We're going to think together a little bit about stories. We're going to create a data story, and hopefully we'll have time to do some sharing of the data stories that you create. Now, first, I would really like it if you would click on this in your browser, click on this link here and follow it, as I will do, to a short poll. And I'm also going to put that into the chat, if I can find the chat. And there it is. Oh, I didn't hit return or something. There it is. And here's the one for the poll. So take the poll.
Bill, sorry, the document
Yes.
you're showing is different to the document I'm seeing. So the document on the screen that I can see says presentation to NZAMA, but the one I'm seeing says telling data stories with CODAP.
Well, then I put the wrong one in.
No,
So,
I think your screen you're sharing is the wrong screen.
No, the screen I'm sharing is the right screen.
Link in the chat is the right one, Bill. The link you posted.
I want people to have open on their screen this document telling data stories with CODAP.
Okay, so Bill, the screen I can see, or the document that I can see is.
Oh, I'm sharing the wrong one.
Thank you.
Oh. Whoa. Okay, thank you so much.
Yay.
I can't tell you how easy it is for me to get confused in this. I've got 4 screens in front of me and you guys, and it's amazing. All right, so I hope you're taking the poll, and I'm going to find out whether you're taking the poll by going to look at the responses. Yes, look at that. So you can see the responses coming in. And we'll wait until it gets at least to 40 or so. I love that. And why did I ask you what tall mountain you have climbed? That's because we're going to be working with data about the tall mountains of New Zealand. And we're going to explore that data first without any idea of telling a story about it, just so we get familiar with the data. And all this is going to be done in groups of probably 5. And then we'll go back in together again with probably with different people, and we'll work with CODAP to tell a story about the data. And the reason I wanted to know whether you have ever used CODAP was because if most people haven't, then we need to know that. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to an empty CODAP document. You don't need to do this. I'm just going to create a new document, and I'm going to import the URL of that spreadsheet. I copied that URL and I'm pasting it in here. And look at that. There's the data that you all entered in the poll. So that's a clue that one good way to use CODAP is to have kids fill something out in a poll, and then you can just bring that data into CODAP. Well, let's take a look at these data. Now, those of you who haven't used CODAP before, pay attention to the moves I'm making because you'll soon be making them. So my first move is to make a graph. But each dot is a row, corresponds to a row, which we call a case in the table. And if I click on one, I get to see which one that is. And they're scattered randomly because I haven't told them where to go. So now I'm going to tell them where to go. I'm going to take this column header, which we call an attribute, and I'm going to put it on the x-axis. So this is like you tell your kids to label the axes, right? So you label the axes, and there the dots go. And let's take a look here. I'm going to use the ruler menu to show the counts. And we see that 34 have not used CODAP and 7 have. And we get another one over here. Let's see. Only a bit of self-exploration. Do you see how I'm hovering over that response and I get to read the whole thing? And what does this one say? Click. Oh, and of course, this is important. When I click on a dot here, it lights up over here and vice versa. See that? So I will, once I come to New Zealand. That's an interesting response, isn't it? Well, let's see. How about the other thing here? Have you ever asked a student to make use of data or to write a story in which they make use of data? Maybe, no, and yes. And again, let's do percents this time. So almost half of you have done it, and the others maybe or yes. So you see what I'm doing. I'm putting things from the table to a graph axis, and I've only used the x-axis so far, but I can use the y-axis. In fact, here's a cool move. I can move this attribute over here from the x-axis to the y-axis, and it flips. And I could, if I wanted, put the timestamp on the x-axis And now we see the time this is my local time, of course, not your time. And it's Friday where I am because I'm in California. All right, so I know what I need to know. And I'm going back to our document. You've done the poll. Now we're going to do a waterfall chat. So the way that works is I'm going to ask you a question. In fact, you can see the question. Oh, no, wrong. Before we do that, I want to show you the data. Excuse me. So here we have a table with mountains. Each row is a mountain. We know the name of the mountain. We know its height in meters, its drop. And there's a nice explanation of what drop is, because it's not at all obvious what that is. It's isolation, another strange term that you can read about just by hovering over that. The latitude, the longitude, the first ascent, the year of the first ascent, who was in the first ascent party, and how many people were in the party. Okay, and we have 105 of them. And I believe these are the tallest mountains. Of course, there are other mountains, but they're not as tall. Now, you've met the data very cursorily. You're going to meet it in much more intimate detail in a moment. But I have a question for you. And my question is about questions. What questions might be interesting to explore using these data? Now, what I want you to do is to write such a question in the chat, but don't press return, because we're all going to press return at the same time. So everybody gets a chance to write a question. Getting my chat window open here. Got my teacher wait long enough, Bill. On wait long enough. Okay, here we go. When I say so, press return. 3, 2, 1, press return. I am not, oh, I see, I'm not scrolled, 14 new messages. Okay, what is the shortest mountain? How isolated are the tallest mountains? Which mountain is the most popular with visitors? The number of people who have climbed the mountain? What are the most common mountains climbed? Which of the mountains have the maximum number of climbers? Are the tallest mountains found in particular regions? So on and so on. You see what I'm doing, right? As a teacher, you know that getting you all to be in the context that we're going to spend some time in, first by asking you what mountains you've climbed or mountain you've climbed, and then by asking you to think about questions even before you've looked at the data. Now, about half of you have never used CODAP, or maybe even more. There's a tutorial. I'll show you the tutorial. I'm going to click on the link. No, that's not the right link. Oh dear. Oh dear. Well, I'll show you where that tutorial is, and I'll get the link for it too. I will open a document called Getting Started with CODAP. And I'm going to copy that link, and I'm going to paste it into the chat. So if you have never used CODAP before, I think you should spend a few minutes doing this tutorial. Or if it's been a while since you've used CODAP. And the first thing is to notice is it says, drag this data file into CODAP, show me. Well, when you click on show me, it shows you a little video about how to do that. Oh, that's how to do it. Okay. And there they are. There's my data. And notice I got a little check mark. Make a graph. Oh, we know how to make a graph. Make a graph. Move a table. What do you mean? Move a table. Oh, okay. Move a table. I got a check mark. Drag an attribute to the graph's axis. How do I do that? Oh, I can do that, but I'm going to do height. And drag a second attribute, height. I think I want to know if taller animals are faster. Ugh, not really. I don't know. Maybe not. Okay, you with me? Now I'm going to go back here and hope that this document is correct. Let me see. Yes. Okay. So we are going to go into breakout rooms and we'll spend about 10 minutes. And I'm going to get some help from Robin and others to make these breakout rooms. They're going to be randomly assigned, 5 people each. And your goal is to just explore these data in the ways you've seen so far. But I forgot to tell you that it's possible to make a map because we have latitude and longitude. So I think you'll want to do that. So can we have our breakout rooms, please?
Okay, I'll just make up the breakout rooms. If we put people into, we got 49, 10 breakout rooms with 4
and
four to 5.
Need,
yep. And
if you need help,
create them. And how long do you want breakout rooms running for, Bill?
10 minutes.
10. Right. They're open, ready to join. So room 10.
I got 4 or 5. Room 5 has 3.
Yeah, room 5. Gillian hasn't joined, so maybe.
Do you want me to
And
go?
The co-hosts don't get, the co-hosts get thrown into rooms as well, but room 4, that's all right. Anne, you can be a floater.
Vicky's by herself. Can I suggest?
Where's Vicky? What room number?
Room 8.
Oh, we'll shift her to
Room 9.
Okay, move to room 9.
Well, wait a minute. No, she's not really by herself.
The others
I
haven't
see what you
joined
mean.
though.
They haven't joined. And I'm
Oh,
one
you're
of
there
them.
as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it at first.
Yeah, I think we're okay. We've got 3. We probably should have given them instruction. Oh, they're just having a play, well, aren't they, on their own screens with CODAP?
Yes, I'm going to join it. So.
Can you just quickly show us the map? We haven't got time to look at the map.
Oh, of course.
Thank you.
So here is how you make the map. I'm going to make this window even bigger so there'll be room for the map. And look what happens. What do these points represent? And if I hover over a map, a point on the map, I see the name of the mountain. And I can zoom out a little bit so we can see that almost all of them are in the southern island. I wonder if I put the height in here in the middle, what I'll get. And these are the tallest ones. Oh, look, one of the tallest ones. What? Do you see how I'm kind of getting drawn in by playing with the representations? Now, I would like to hear a couple of discoveries or insights that someone gained or people gained from the exploring the document. And if you can unmute and just tell us.
It
Oh.
took 10 people to climb Mount Aoraki, Mount Cook, way back in the day, which was amazing.
Okay, so you said it took 2 people.
10
and
people, sorry, Bill.
10 people. So I'm going to put number in party on the x-axis. And is that the
sorry.
one?
No, sorry. Sorry. Rob Roy has got a glacier on it, and it was 9. Sorry. Yeah, that wrong mountain. Sorry, it was a Rob Roy glacier.
And,
yeah.
and here it is. We can see where it is on the map. Okay, another discovery. Someone just speak out.
There's a question from Sophia, or a comment from Sophia. She's having mic issues. She was surprised there wasn't a relationship between first ascent and isolation.
Okay, let's see what she might mean by that. I'm going to make a graph and I'll put first ascent on the x-axis. And isolation, which if you read about it, it's sort of how far away it is from another mountain of equal height. And I'm going to put that on the y-axis. Now, if her conjecture were correct, we would expect to see a relationship when I drop the attribute. But she is surprised to find there wasn't one. So let's see what we think. Oh, isn't that interesting? This one is so isolated. Why is that so isolated? Speak up.
That's our largest mountain, Bill. That's our highest mountain.
So how far is it to the next mountain of equal height?
Well, it's
Well, you have to go to another country.
It's right.
You have to cross the ocean.
No,
Now,
no.
I'm going to do it.
It's right in the middle of
No?
that cluster down on the Southern Alps.
But to get to another mountain of equal height, you are not going to be able to do it in New Zealand.
That's
So
right.
you're going to have to cross the ocean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide that one. You see, I pressed on the eyeball and I'm hiding it. And now when I press this rescale button, they all spread out again. And is she correct that the mountains that were ascended later in time were not necessarily the ones that are most isolated? And couldn't we have a nice discussion about that? If we could, and kids could too. Now I have about 10 minutes left, and I haven't shown you anything about stories yet. So I'm going to do that now. Before I do that, I have another waterfall question, which is, I want you to think about what are reasons to engage students in writing data stories. Now, I would like you to write that in the chat, but not press return yet. what are reasons to engage students in writing data stories? So those of you who have something written, go ahead and press return. If you haven't finished yet, you can keep writing. I'm seeing to make maths real. So many good reasons here. Use information data to justify thinking. Get them engaged with the data and look for specific features. To make math seem real, I already said that. So they can make sense of data, engage with data, linking ideas between data and imagination. To be able to debunk social media myths, that's a good one. To be creative, to get them thinking about what they see and what can be the reasons behind it. To bring data to life, I love that. And Pip wrote a long one. She's so wordy. Okay, so thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm now going to show you about writing data stories in CODAP. And I think we're not really going to have time to work together because we're supposed to stop at 1/4 but I hope you will take the time yourself. You have the link to this document, and of course there are many, many sample documents. So you've met the graph and the map, and over here are what we call plugins. And feel free to follow along with me if you like. And one of those plugins is the Story Builder. And there it is. And you see that I rather cleverly left some room up there for it in this document. Now the Story Builder, it's like a slideshow, but we call the slides, instead of slides, we call them moments. So these are moments in the story, or you could think of them as chapters, and I'll show you what I mean. Now, each moment has a title, and I'm going to say, we want to find what's the story. So we started by looking at a map. Okay, and I'm going to put the map in. And now I'm going to write something about what I see in the map in this text box here. The map shows that only 2 mountains, 2 of the tallest mountains spelled are on the North Island. Is that how you say it? Something like that. And then I'm going to save this moment. Now, I don't have to press this, but I can press it. Now I've saved it, and I'm going to make a new moment. And we then wanted to know which mountains are tallest. So when I come over here, notice it says we then wanted to know which mountains are tallest. And I'm going to say a graph, that was a gaff, helps us, relax, Bill, helps us determine which ones are tallest. But my buddy, one of us wanted to do it by sorting. So we did both. Okay, so let's make a graph, and we put the height on the x-axis. There they are. And I'll put this down here. And also we can click on height and sort. If I sort descending, that'll mean the tallest one is at the top. And if I click on it, we see it's selected in the map and it's selected in the graph. So now I could write some more stuff about that. For example, it is Aoraki, also known as Mount Cook. And I'll save this moment. And now when I go back to this moment, I see what I wrote there and I see the map. And when I come to this moment, I see the graph and what I wrote there. And there's one other thing I want to be able to do to show you, and that is to put a picture in here. And I'm just going to drag this picture in here. And there's my picture to sort of serve as a illustration of what I'm working on. And it seems like I'm in a different document now, but that's okay. Probably it's over here. Yeah, I should have dragged it into here. There we go. And so maybe this would be in another moment. I might put this in my third moment and talk about a particular mountain. So you can imagine assigning students to, after they've played with data. Notice that we didn't start by telling a story. We started by exploring the data. And then after we were familiar with it, I started to tell a story about the data. And I think that's a good thing to keep in mind. We've used Story Builder with middle school kids and high school kids, and even graduate students in university. So it seems to be fairly easy to use. We've used it in workshops. We set up a Story Builder document with a bunch of moments in it, and we give directions in each moment for the participants to what they should do. And then they can work at their own pace through the document, and that's worked out very well. So we think there's kind of a workshop or a worksheet mode of using Story Builder. Allison asks, are there sets of data like this mountain data available on CODAP? Yes, indeed, there are. And the place you need to go is codap.concord.org. And I will make that bold and big. So write that down, because there's all kinds of sample documents and tutorials and help. And there's a help forum. By the way, here is the help forum, the help pages, something about the project, and so on. In just a couple of minutes, does anyone else have a question that they would like to ask, either out loud or in the chat? I wish we had time to really talk and I could learn your impressions of this and whether you see it as a useful tool for your classrooms. Can we make other types of graphs? Yes, we can. Let's make a binned dot plot. Look at that. Let's fuse those dots together. What kind of graph do we have now? So we can make bar charts and histograms as well. And Pip put a nice, oh, how do you save Story Builder? So you save your document up here using Save. And you can save it in your Google Drive, or you can save it locally on your computer. Both are useful. Another thing you can do that is really useful is that you can share a document and copy. When you share a document, get a new URL, and if you that URL, if I copy it and paste it into a new browser tab, I get right back to where I started. That wasn't quite right, but you'll try it and come to understand it. Now, I promised Robin that I would stop now, and so I will. Somewhat disappointed that we didn't get to do even more, but I hope you had fun with as much as we did get to do. Can different language packages be added? We have many translations. Well, many. It's not many compared to the number of countries that there are, but still, we have translations. We don't have Maori. Maybe one of you would like to provide that translation. We will help you. It's not hard. Really, it's not hard. Raise your hand. Want to translate? Yes. Great. Send me an email. What's my email address? We wonder. I'll put my email address right here. wfinzer@concord.org. Send me an email, Hera or Sarah.
In worst case scenario, if you lose Bill's email, you can always email me or Robin and we can connect you up with Bill. Bill, thank you so much. I'm going to say surpassed my expectations because I've got about 20 hints on how to workshop using CODAP from this session that I'd never done before. So I'm very happy from the session.
Well, Pip, I have to say, I learned a lot about how not to do a workshop.
Cool. All right, I'm gonna just can we all just virtually or some other way just thank Bill either through the reactions or in the chat or anything like that, but absolutely fabulous as usual, Bill.